Multiple times in the Old Testament, when God commissions a leader into battle or before some big breakthrough happens, the command is this: take courage. In Deuteronomy 31:6, as Joshua assumes leadership over the Israelite people to lead them into the promised land, Moses encourages them, Joshua and the people, to be strong and courageous. He says, don't be afraid or terrified because of them, for the Lord your God goes with you, and he will never leave you nor forsake you. In Joshua 1:9, a little bit later, God said to Joshua before leading the Israelite people to actually cross the Jordan River into the promised land, he says, be strong and courageous. Don't be afraid or dismayed, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. And later on in 1 Chronicles 28:20, when King David said to Solomon who's about to rebuild the temple, be strong and courageous and do the work. Don't be afraid or discouraged, for the Lord God, my God, is with you. He will not fail you or forsake you until all the work for the service of the temple of the Lord is finished. In every situation, and there are many more, the leader was not only reminded that God is big enough to complete the task, but that what he put inside of each of them to bring forth is powerful enough to carry out the calling to completion. But also, in addition to that, each was commanded to choose courage in spite of his fear. In every case, it required the leader to make a brave decision. To take courage required an action. And we have that same choice today in our own situations that feel scary or too big or overwhelming. God reminds us that he is enough, and what he put inside of us is enough to reign victorious in that situation, to fulfill that calling, to complete that task. But we've got to decide to choose courage in the face of our fear. Fear is a bully and a thief. It deceives us into taking our eyes off of God and off of who we are in him and off of what he has promised us he will do. Evil uses fear to rob us of what's ours, because we're divine, powerful beings made in the image of God. And he wants nothing more than for us to focus our gaze on the things that feel scary and bigger than we are, so that we'll back down in fear and settle for living in defeat. We must understand that courage is not the absence of fear, but it is the ability to do something that frightens us. Living courageously requires that we take courageous action in the midst of our fear. God urges us to believe wholeheartedly in who he is and what he's put in us to reign victorious, to fulfill that task to completion, that calling. But fear manipulates us to give in to doubt and to stay stuck in the lies that tell us that God can't do it, or it's impossible for him, or it's impossible for us, or that he won't come through for us, or maybe he just doesn't care enough. And it's all lies. 1 John 4:13 says, there is no fear in love, but perfect love drives out fear, because fear has to do with punishment. The one who fears is not made perfect in God's love. And that doesn't mean that's not condemnation for you because you don't get it. What that means is we feel fear because we have a skewed image of who God is and of his perfect love for us. And we're not rooted in his promises and his faithfulness and his perfect love for us when we're feeling fear. God instructed Joshua before leading the Israelite people to the promised land to meditate on my truth day and night, and you won't succumb to fear. So in other words, let my truth become more rooted in you than fear is. And fellow warrior, God calls us to do the same today. Courage arises in us and overtakes fear as we immerse ourselves in the truth of the word of our Father. And when we have a deep understanding of his perfect love and of his unwavering faithfulness, and when that permeates our heart and our mind, then we too are empowered to step out of our own bondage and our existence and cross over into the land of our freedom and fullness. Cross over into the promises of God. But we must be clear. We don't get rid of fear. We take courage. Fear is familiar and comfortable. Courage is uncomfortable. Yet when we decide that we will do something afraid, courage arises within us and uproots the fear that bullies us. Warriors don't cave in to the bully of fear. Warriors see fear for the liar that it is. They decide to take courage, fixing their eyes on truth and standing firmly on the promises of God. And when supernatural courage arises in us, fear must stand down. And our victory is the outcome.